Sure. Grady Bonsall.
Here.
Dennis Sneeden. Matt McKenzie.
Here.
Curtis Penrod.
Here.
Wally Henson.
Here. All right, any public comment? All right, we'll move right into number 3, variance appeal for reduction of the side yard and rear setbacks for Trevor and Sarah Linton. Zach, you want to start?
The first variance request for the night is for 308 Eustis Avenue for Trevor and Sarah Linton. The request is for a reduction of the rear yard setback to 4 feet and the side yard reduced to 0. Current code states the side yard is 6 feet and the rear yard would be 10 feet. The application appears to be in order and should allow the board to make the findings whether all requirements have been satisfied. If the variances are granted, all other requirements for the R2 zone district must be followed since that is zoned R2 up there, not R1. The property brings a unique situation before us. It has previously had a pad poured and footers, but is not in compliance with the setbacks for the zoning district that the property is in. If someone were to tear down an old structure, they would have to comply with adopted zoning regulations and building code when building a new structure. This may mean not being able to build in the same exact spot to meet the current standards. With the size of the lot and the placement of the existing fence and the requested variance, however, it would work at this property. There are other corner lots in town that may not allow these variances without affecting the neighbor's property's health, safety, or welfare of the community. When we go through what you guys have to decide on for the request itself and make your findings on. The uniqueness, the property sits in an area of town that was platted with larger lots than the original town. The property's owner's fence is already offset from the property line by a few feet in the rear yard. And it wouldn't be encroaching on that, so it's already off the property line a little bit further than what we would ask. The side yard fence is pushed back exactly to the property line, and actually not what the allowable fence distance is from the curb, which is 4 feet. So that fence could actually be further out there as another visual reference just for you guys. The adjacent property, the variance will not affect the property rights or adjacent property owners or residents. Hardships, the setbacks were adopted after the pad had been poured, which would make the structure against the zoning regulations and not allow the use of the existing pad and footers. The sewer line and gas line run through the center portion and the south side of the property, so that would not cause an issue and that sort of thing. The public interest would not adversely, this requested variance would not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, or general welfare of the community. It wouldn't impair an adequate supply of light or adjacent air to properties. It wouldn't increase the congestion to the public streets or increase danger of fire or the public safety or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. However, it would potentially create a site triangle issue for utilities using the alleyway. However, alleyways are not meant to be used as roadways and just for utility services. That's what their design was. And the fence itself actually it could be an issue if he decided to move it closer to the curb. So the building I don't think would cause an issue with the fence already being there. Spirit and intent, the requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations. And the minimum variance, the requested variance is not the minimum variance that could be asked for. However, with the existing infrastructure, it would be the minimum variance to make it usable. If someone were to do the demoing of an old structure, like I mentioned earlier, they would have to comply with the adopted zoning regulations when building the new structure. That's always something to take in consideration also when making your findings. That is all I have for you guys until we get to the pictures, which Josh has pulled up.
Okay.
This is all you want?
No, I want my pictures.
What is it under?
The staff report. I asked for my pictures because it gives a better representation of where the property lines are at. It's a
Okay.
little shifted on that side of town with the GIS. So outlined in red, there is the actual property line. That dark line right on the inside is his actual fence there. So that's already an offset. GIS estimates it at about 2.5, 3 feet. That's always give or take. That's why I said I don't think it would be an issue with the rear yard setback, allowing the building to be there. Right here, there is a water line that runs on the easement right through there. However, the fence isn't even on top of it. It's about 8 feet away is what Neil said. So it shouldn't cause any issues if the city were to have to do repairs to that water line. At this point, I would turn it over to the property owner.
Yeah, Trevor, can we get you to come to the mic? So we were talking about before. For our friends that are watching online, they want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I've got nothing to say.
Well, give us an
Any
update.
questions you
Tell
got?
us what you want to do with the space. What's your plan?
Yeah, just outdoor space for family, outdoor living space. We're gonna enclose it. It's not gonna be a garage. We won't be using it for that. It potentially down the road, but like Zach and I talked, we'd have to use the north side if we did put driveway on it, but we're not planning to do that. Just a kind of an outdoor enclosed living space, 20 by 30 foot. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. And your fence already sits right on the edge of that pad, right? Front and,
Yes.
or on the side
Both
and
sides,
along the back
both
corner?
sides of the fences, like you can see the black is just a shadow, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's right square to
It's right on that pad,
both,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fence is on both sides of that, on very, very edges of it. No plans to change that. In fact, if anything, we would potentially take some of that fence out, right?
Sort of use the new building as
To
a
use that as
fence.
kind of the fence,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are the questions for Trevor?
When you say living space, you talking like plumbing and,
Yeah, it'll have
Oh,
a
that's fine.
bathroom, one bathroom, a sink, poker table, you know, for you to come over and play poker in. No.
take your money?
Yeah, it's not gonna take much. I mean, we'll have a mini split in it for air conditioning and heat and
Okay.
air, but it's only gonna need, you know, minimal plumbing, minimal electrical. It's not gonna be a huge draw on anything as far as, you know, anything crazy going on, so.
Is it already stopped for plumbing?
No, no,
So you'll be doing some demo to that slab and or the foundations? or
correct.
to top?
Everything's gonna be on that west wall, so it's simpler to, right, so in that far upper left corner would be basically where the restroom would be, so that'd be the only major drilling or anything we'd have to do to the concrete. And then plumbing down inside the building from there, would be about all that they are telling me they would need to do.
And you said it's just for your family, not,
Yeah.
not for like renting it out or anything like that?
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay, okay.
Now, honestly, my kids want a golf simulator.
I got you.
I want like a theater room, right,
Ah,
outside
okay.
the house.
A getaway, huh?
Yeah, right, it's a man cave,
Okay,
basically.
gotcha.
There you go.
Okay.
And you're just planning standard wall height and roof height similar to your house? Is that what you're thinking?
It
or-
will not be, yeah, it'll be 10 foot, I think, so it's all gonna match the house as far as the exterior. Same siding, same angles, all the stuff. Is at least the plan, or the drawings anyway.
So the material palette is gonna match your house, as it says?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless you have recommendations. I'm all ears.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Trevor.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to go through those pieces that Zach outlined. So the first one is around uniqueness. And like Zach noted, the larger lots up there and the fact that the fence already sits right on the line that we're talking about. No, these are always hard to find the right words to say, how to describe these. But I think that what makes this one probably unique and the reason why we should consider it for variance is probably mostly the lot size. The fact that there's a lot of room up there and we're not crowding something in that
Right.
doesn't fit naturally.
And it's on a corner, so it's not
Right.
Yes.
restricting an adjacent neighbor.
Good point.
Yep.
All right, so are we in agreement that that fits the uniqueness piece?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, adjacent property, no findings that this would affect any adjacent, property rights or owners or residents. And I think what you just said, Curtis, probably suits that well. It's right on the corner, it's on the alley. If you look around, there's really not anybody close. Agreement there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, hardship, the fact that the setbacks were adopted after the pad was poured, yeah, that makes it super inconvenient and would certainly cause a hardship if we made him tear it out and re-pour all that. That's a big piece.
Right.
Probably good that we don't sit on any lines, gas lines or sewer lines. There's no problem there. So agreement on hardship. That's a lot of words. Okay, public interest. This doesn't appear to adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, or general welfare of the community. Agreement there?
Yeah, just the site triangle issue, but I tend to agree with Zach that if he moved his fence, that would be worse.
Right.
Worse on the side.
Could make it worse.
On the opposite side of the alley,
Oh, yeah. It's probably more in the site triangle than the building would be.
but we haven't been enforcing alley site triangles in the same way we do street corners because they're not actual roadways.
Right. Kent, did you have something to add there? Seemed like you were gonna say something.
But just a reminder that there's actually 2 variances requested. And that's why he split the answer regarding the public interest into 2. Regarding the rear yard variance to 0 along the alley.
Okay.
And then 1 to the side towards Second Street. The answers you've given so far, the statements can apply to both
Both. Okay.
variances, but with this one, there's a little bit of variance on them.
Okay, so looking at those separately, the first one, I mean, it doesn't appear there's any issue with public health and safety. And then the second one is more around the site triangle.
Right.
And we probably have other issues. And like Zach said, we're not enforcing alley site triangles anyway, so.
Not to the same degree. Every once in a while, there's one that gets to be an issue, but not to the same degree.
All right, so agreement on that one then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Spirit and intent, doesn't appear there's anything opposed to the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations agreement. Okay, and then minimum variance, as Zach noted, this maybe not necessarily the minimum variance, but for, given the existing infrastructure, it is because of the pad that's already there, so, agreed. Okay, with that, any other comments, I guess, questions? There are a couple motions, in the packet, and we need to do 2, 1 for each variance, so if somebody would go with the first one, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, I move to approve variance number 1 to reduce the rear yard setback to 4 feet.
Okay, moved by Grady, seconded by Dennis, all in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? All right, that one passes. Motion for variance 2.
I'll move to approve variance number 2 to reduce the, we do the side yard?
Yes.
Side yard setback to 0 feet.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Curtis, seconded by Grady, all in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? All right, that one passes. Very good, Trevor, you got your variance request.
Appreciate it.
You are more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you would like to sit in, but I also understand if you'd like to go.
these 2 guys. See you, Bill. All right.
Looking forward to swinging a golf club in there.
Come on over. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 4, public hearing, rezoning request to move from R1 to R2 for Mike and Dax Reese.
And you're opening the public hearing at?
It is 6:16 on my watch.
Okay.
Zach?
Go ahead.
All right. This is for a rezoning request at 504 East 7th Street. The cross streets with that would be 7th and Cherry. Right? No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, that property is currently zoned R1. The applicant would like to develop a triplex there. With it being an R1 property, you cannot do that. Only a duplex is permitted.
We're just doing a duplex there.
Oh,
Two
two duplexes.
You do.
Two duplexes.
Yeah.
No, you're okay. Such variance would not work in this situation because you cannot vary from the permitted zoning regulations in a zoning district. So that's why they are going for the rezoning. Matters to be considered would be the character of the neighborhood, consistency with the comprehensive plan and regulations of the city of Goodland, adequacy of public utilities and other needed public services, suitability of the uses to which the property has been restricted under its existing zoning, compatibility of the proposed district classification with nearby properties, to the extent which the zoning amendment may detrimentally affect nearby property, and whether the proposed amendment provides a disproportionately great loss to the individual landowners nearby relative to the public gain. When we go to the character of the neighborhood, it is mainly residential, and just north of that is a multifamily district. Handy Towers and Spark Towers is situated right there on 6th and Cherry. So there is a property that sits in between them. It's not that full block there, but it is very nearby.
It's basically split in half between 7th and 6th on the east side of Cherry. And it's basically equidistant, the two lots.
Josh is
equal
pulling up the
size.
picture of it. I have it in my staff report.
Did you?
That's the step. There. Maybe.
To continue with this, while Josh is pulling that up, consistency with the comprehensive plan and regulations of the city of Goodland. It is consistent with what is already developed around that particular area. Across the street, you have a commercial district. Like we discussed with the rezoning prior, it is a good buffer to have a multifamily district in between the commercial and the residential, just to provide that little buffer zone. The public utilities, all utilities are already accessible. Green is the sewer line that runs through the alley. There's already a water meter that sits right there on the southeast corner of that property. Suitability to the uses to which the property has been restricted under its existing zoning. The use that is being requested is not permissible in its current zoning district, and this would help put a dent into the housing need for the community for years to come, not just a current situation that is at hand. Compatibility with the proposed district with the nearby properties. It would be compatible with surrounding properties. To the west is the general business district with residential dwellings on part of those lots. So it's not all business right there. Right north there on Cherry, those two lots are residential. And then to the south of that is Hoover's storage yard. The parcel touching to the north is R1, but it's a completely vacant lot. Just stays mowed every year. To the extent of which the zoning amendment may detrimentally affect the nearby property, I don't see it detrimentally affecting any of the nearby properties. In my opinion, it should only increase the value of the neighborhood with a vacant lot being developed. Whether the proposed amendment provides a disproportionately great loss to the individual landowners nearby relative to the public gain. This will be a long-term game for the public as it is addressing housing needs in the community, and I don't foresee this being a negative to the neighborhood that it's going to be in, as there's already multifamily right to the north of it and the C1 district right to the west of it. I did get 2 phone calls from property owners within 300 feet of it. The Goodland Housing Authority was one, Spark and Handy Towers. They have absolutely no issue with it. They were just curious why they got the letter like everyone normally is. The second one was from 416 East 8th Street, and they absolutely had no issues with it. They just wanted to make sure they weren't in trouble or their property wasn't going to get rezoned. From here, I would turn it over to Dax.
Yeah, Dax, if you could come to the podium, we'll like to hear from you a little bit and then probably have some questions.
Sure.
So tell us about the project, what you're planning on doing, kind of what you got going on.
Yeah, so we're kind of in a situation where that lot's 150 by 140. And so we have a couple drawings of some duplexes that fit on 75-foot lots in width. So what we would do is those 3 lots, we would just split that evenly in half, and there'd be 2 duplexes sitting there. This would be over the course of a year. It's kind of a timeline that we have to get it done. We're using a forgivable loan program, so that was the only stipulation they had, was they needed to see it rezoned properly to what fit their description, and they give us a year timeline from start to finish. So
If this gets approved, you pull the trigger and get going right away? I guess let me re-ask that, when does your year countdown start? Like, once you got the zoning right and then you go, or do they?
breaking dirt, pretty
Okay.
much. So, yeah, once the foundation's dug, I'm guessing they're gonna,
You got a year,
yep.
and you're thinking, so back to my first question, you're thinking you go pretty quick, or how soon
Usually,
before you get there?
We count for like 5 or 6 new structures in a year is what we plan on doing. And so this would take up 2 of those spots, and yeah, so I mean, we could really pace ourselves on this and do a lot of other things in between, but we would like to just do this and get this done. That way we're not doing anything exterior during winter time. Love to get them both enclosed, everything on the exterior done, sprinkler systems in by the fall for sure. And then if we have to spend some time inside in winter, we'll do that, so.
And the idea is to sell them when you're done, or rent them, or what's your plans?
The forgivable loan program states that we have to own them for 5 years.
Okay.
So we will do that, and then when that time comes, if it's,
See what happens in 5 years.
so, see if we're all still here.
So you, go ahead.
No, you ask, I've been asking.
So you said you're gonna do 2 duplexes,
Yes, sir.
and you're going to re-divide that 3 lots into 2 lots?
Yep, so I spoke with Brooklyn about that this morning at the county appraiser's office, and she is working on, apparently they have to send all their stuff off to get street address names specific for that, so she's gonna provide us 2 street addresses, and then it would be, like for example, we did one on Walnut, and it's 103 Walnut, apartment A, and then apartment B is how that's labeled, or that's how they're wanting us to label it down there.
Is, a duplex is allowed in R1, and if you're taking 3 lots and making it into 2, does it have to be R2? Is that the only way your grant works?
I just wanted to cross all the T's, dot all the I's with them, because their application process is like this thick, and I didn't want them to trip up on, well, technically it's zoned R1, when it should be an R2 situation building a duplex. That's what they're used to, that's the verbiage they're used to. A lot of other cities don't allow duplexes to be built on R1s. So this is unique to Goodland a little bit, that you guys do allow that.
And if he goes through the process in a few years to sell the lots or sell each duplex individually, then we'd go through a lot split process. But some of the discussion beforehand was, since you're gonna be the owner the entire time, it was the rezoning process first to take care of that instead of a lot split. Now, if he chooses not to sell, then it's still under one ownership and able to do that. He could still own both lots, true, but that was the simplest way to ask his question, answer the questions of the zoning, the grant or loan application
Yeah.
that he had at the start.
And Brooklyn and Courtney both reassured me too. They said splitting it down the middle there makes it perfect, because if you were to go to sell and say one person wanted to buy one and another person wanted to buy the other, it's not on one, it's not one specific address for the whole thing. It could be divided, so.
Okay, other questions for Dax? All right, thank you, sir. Close the hearing and then discuss.
Close the hearing,
Okay,
yes.
so 6:23, we'll officially close the hearing.
27?
27, sorry, looked at that wrong. 27. I don't remember, do we need to get agreement on all these points, Kent, or?
You don't have to have agreement, just need to, these are the, do you agree with the staff findings on each of these? But you don't have to, like, the variance have to agree to it.
So without me regurgitating everything Zach said, is there anything in there that somebody wants to discuss further, or you want more clarification, or you see something different?
I think it's a win-win situation here.
As bad as we need housing in Goodland, I'm excited that you guys are building housing in
Yep,
Goodland.
me too. Yep.
Well, if you widen that out a little bit, Josh, you know, we just,
He'll have to switch there.
not that one, yeah, that one. You know, we just did the,
That red block there, yeah.
one, that half block on
Yep.
the other side of the commercial district.
Mhm.
So there's pockets here and there regarding the R2, so it isn't that, it's very close to it. Not just the Sparks and Handy Tower, but within that framework just north of 8th and Caldwell.
And, you know, back to what we talked about there, and Zach mentioned it too, I really like the idea of putting multifamily in between business and single family as a buffer. And this accomplishes that.
Having an R2 and an R1, that doesn't affect people's property values or anything like that.
I don't think the
No,
zoning
no,
would
no.
change it. What's gonna
Yeah.
change it is new construction.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's good.
Okay, with that, there is a recommended motion there I would entertain.
And what you are doing is you're moving to recommend,
Yes. That's right.
whether it's approval or
So
disapproval.
we'll have to go to the city commission for final.
Right.
And I just wanted to clarify, is that on the 16th?
It's Monday. Yes,
Yes,
16th.
Somebody wanna do that, or we're gonna walk you
Sure.
through?
I recommend a motion, we move to approve the rezoning of the property located on 504 East 7th Street from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Multifamily Residential District.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Grady, seconded by Wally. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right, we will send that on to the city commission.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
for
Max.
coming.
Good luck.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, next one
Have a good
on
night.
the list, a variance appeal for intensity of use regulations for the school district. So Zach,
Hello?
we've been through this one
Once.
once, right? But let's
Once
review.
before, there has been a change in the request.
Okay.
There's been a reduction. It's no longer, excuse me, it's no longer requesting 70% of the allowable lot coverage. It is a reduction down to 63% of the lot coverage. The front yard setback is still requested at the 8 feet. This property sits on the corner of 13th and Cherry, directly across the street from the high school. Right now, it's currently used as a parking lot. The application appears to be in order and should allow the board to make findings as to whether all requirements have been satisfied. If the variance is granted, all other zoning requirements for the property in the R1 district will be followed. The allowable lot coverage for variance 1, since we've already discussed it, I'm not gonna go through everything again. If that's all right with everyone, if you would like me to, I will.
You're okay.
Uniqueness. The property will be developed for educational purposes and not for a residential dwelling. This does make it unique to this situation. The adjacent property, the variance will not affect the property rights or adjacent property owners or residents. Water displacement will be a part of the design of the structure, so not to harm the adjacent properties. When you allow the more lot coverage like that, that's something to consider because it does displace the water more so towards the neighboring properties than it does to itself. Hardship, the requirement of the allowable lot coverage would force the design of the building to be smaller. This wouldn't allow for the full development of the intended use of the property as a public educational building. The public interest, the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, orders, or convenience or general welfare of the community. This should increase the property values of the neighborhood as it is developing a property that is mostly just used for parking. The spirit and intent, the requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations. And the minimum variance, the requested variance is the minimum variance for what they plan to do. When we move to the front yard setback, that would be the second variance. The uniqueness, the property will be developed for educational purposes and not for a residential dwelling. That will kind of change the design and layout of it. The adjacent property, the variance will not affect the property rights of the adjacent property owners or residents. The properties to the north are approximately 15 feet from the property line or 35 feet from the back of the curb. So that would be roughly, 5 feet difference? 7 feet difference, sorry. Do my math there, talking about the school. The public interest, the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, morals, order, convenience, or general welfare of the community. I do have a little blurb in there. There is a slight concern with traffic and pedestrians limiting the view by bringing the building closer to the street. There has been discussion previously with the city commissioners, and it seems as in that they are in favor of changing Cherry Street from 12th to 13th to a one-way. That would also include plans of pedestrian pathways as well as the layout of how the parking will occur on that strip to reduce that thought of the danger to pedestrians and vehiculars, traffic. Regardless of the direction of traffic on Cherry Street, I do feel the applicant will put in the due diligence in creating a safe and effective crossing for pedestrians. This should increase the property values of the neighborhood as it is developing the property. The spirit and intent, the requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations. And the requested variance is not the minimum variance, as the plans show a distance between the proposed building line and the proposed 8-foot setback. If the current plans are accurate, then changing the requested setback of 8 feet to 10 or 12 feet would still allow the building to be built in the proposed location at the same size. Up on the screen, you now have a visual, and I would turn it over to Mr. Bierman.
Yeah, if you could come to the podium for us.
Into the hot seat.
Nick was supposed to come tonight and told me today that he had something come up. I wondered if I could just be here in this place. So.
Okay.
Questions? I don't have anything more to add.
Well, I think
We did after, I guess I would say, after initial design plans and everything we put before the public, it was a 16,000 square foot building, and we did feel like it took up the majority of the lot, and so we put 2 classrooms in the second level, kind of moved them upstairs, and that allowed us to bring it to 14,000 square foot footprint, but still have the same square footage that we needed, that we proposed, so it kind of shrunk it down, and that allowed for the setbacks to not be initially what we had applied for, so. But the 8-foot request line, is talking to Nick, would allow us some more space in the back, is kind of what I think the biggest proposal part of it is.
What's the space in the back requested for?
It's our wood shop in the northwest corner, and the southwest corner is the ag shop, so just the ability to get materials in and out and student projects outside. And just what we're looking for. A little more room back there off the alley for those, both of those, it's not showing here, but have garage door access, for example. So that's why.
The picture is definitely helpful. Last time we were having a hard time visualizing how that was gonna
That was
sit on the
look
lot.
Yeah. That's
So being able to see that in relationship to the neighbors, like to the north, that, you know, the front of the building, even though the setbacks are different, is really not sticking out that much further than
Yeah.
there. And then the garage to the neighbor to the southwest, looks like maybe you're back from his garage just a little bit, so that's helpful.
So this rendering shows,
Those
Yeah,
aren't
that one.
final, by the way.
what's that?
Those are not final, by the way.
There's a garage door on
The south side too,
the south side as
Yeah.
well.
both sides. The back,
Driveway right there.
Concrete.
yeah.
In that rendering, doesn't show an alley. There should be an alley
Yeah,
between the
that house
houses.
is there. I don't want the computer put that. That house is not there.
Yeah.
As far as the pedestrian protection, we're looking at going to one-way. Does the design include ballards and safety devices for people that will be walking between?
We plan to put, yes, flashing lights and other things that will accommodate them, but not necessarily the corner walkway, but the between buildings. Actually, the system we're talking about now will be tied to the bell schedule.
So when the bell rings, the lights will
For the
strobe.
4-minute passing period, yeah, it'll notify that we got access. Yellow flashing lights, right, doesn't mean you have to stop it, alert people that people are crossing the walk.
Crossing at this
Yeah.
time.
And I don't think this rendering shows anything at this point. as
Yeah, it
far as-
doesn't have what that would look like on here necessarily, as far as the safety mechanism of a crosswalk. I think there will be a little bit of a discussion with the city in regards to, do we even put a raised crosswalk there? That's gonna be the city's doing, not part of this plan right now, but.
So the street improvements are gonna be done by the city, not part of your project?
Actually, all the project, we're really talking to GMCN right now, the architect, we feel like we really won't have to touch the street, the actual street much. Certainly these call-outs will be part of the work that the construction company do, but actual street. Certainly the sidewalk and other things, we'll have to work with the city, but are built into the plan.
Will this affect the big parking lot north of the auditorium at all?
No,
Okay,
no, not at all.
okay.
Speaking of parking, it's currently used as a parking lot. Where are all the displaced parking spots moving to?
Well, actually, you can see that we gain about, typically on a given day, there's anywhere from, average is about 15 cars. So actually we increased front parking because parallel parking versus angle parking, so that will increase some.
So students will be allowed to park here?
Actually, we will not allow students to park here, it'll remain in that for visitors and staff.
But students do currently park across the
They
street?
do,
Okay.
but we still have the parking lot at the ag, and we have plenty of parking available. It just means students may have to walk a little bit further.
You have the,
They'll be okay.
those parking numbers you have, they're gonna be sufficient, what's in code for a school? Oh, where'd that went?
Yeah. They have ample parking for what they have.
You got angled parking all the way down from the high school to the Max Jones. It's on both sides of the street.
There's plenty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, students just have to walk a little further. It won't hurt them.
On a football game night, how will this one-way street be effective? Just be closed or?
No, it's still a one-way street. I don't think it really, for example, our community will get used to it. Visitors usually typically come to the football field via arcade around like the Max and then park that way. And even if they came to this street, they're taking a hard right to the football field, even before the one-way. In other
Okay.
words, they're coming along the south side of the high school. So I don't think a Friday night football game will impact much in regards to traffic flow.
They'd already be traveling the right direction coming into
really
town,
visitors coming in.
and then going out. If they
But-
parked on the north, they'd be headed the other way.
Yeah.
anyways.
I think a lot of people come in just because of actually signage and what is said as they come down, right? A lot of people will wrap this way and come in that way, exit the other way.
Cross the tracks and hang a right and go.
Just kinda used to it, yeah.
Yeah, and there's signage that points up to Maxwell.
Our goal in talking to Bart's Construction, who's the main contractor on it and oversees the project, and we really don't plan to disrupt the actual street, like where, you know, if you look at the street and how it goes down to where the water drains, none of that will be touched, certainly from the water drain up to sidewalks and stuff. We'll have to rework it to do angle parking, but the street, unless we do a raised, kind of sidewalk across the street, and the call-outs we'll have to do, but the street won't be impacted.
Okay, any other questions for Bill?
Like in that, I don't even know what's there now. I drive by there a lot and I count them, that's why I had a tally going all fall during the election about the parking, and it averaged about 15.4 cars per day. What are there about? Looks like 12 to 13 there in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
Pretty close to that.
Yes, the max was 20 on some days it'd be 12, just depends. But that's actually, I'm guessing that's a pretty good typical day.
Your photo.
And you can see like there's plenty of parking still available.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Both sides of the
sides.
football field all the way down, yeah.
And honestly, we've talked a lot about how the north part, you mentioned the north of the auditorium. We really think a lot of the students will probably start parking in there, which is what it was designed for anyway, probably. As they lose that option there, we'll probably see a lot of them take advantage of the parking lot north of the auditorium. That's never full during the day.
Yeah.
As far as the alley, do you think there's gonna be a lot of traffic? I mean, trucks coming in and out or anything like that? Or?
No, not like on a
Okay.
daily basis.
Okay.
You know, we usually do typically 2 decent orders of steel during the year, so that's 2 semis worth. And one comes in before school, and then another one comes. Hoover brings their flatbed down with wood supplies, I don't know, 5-6 times a year, depending on what projects we got going on, so there won't be a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
just didn't know how much traffic you were expecting.
Yeah.
The one-way street, I mean, I purposefully drop my daughter off and I go against what would be that one way because of how burdensome that stop four-way is. That four-way stop there on the south side. And I've seen it to where cars are essentially waiting to turn off of Caldwell to get onto 13th, but they can't because everyone's doing the whole drop-off spiel. Has there been any studying as to what's gonna happen when that becomes one way and when it forces everybody into that one traffic pattern?
No.
I'm concerned. So people sitting on Caldwell waiting to turn onto 13th is going to cause some issues. Caldwell's a heavy traffic street.
I can speculate, but I haven't done a traffic study on that specific issue. From what I see at west and north, once established, kind of traffic, the traffic of what the school wants is indicated by the cones we have for drop-off, people will adjust their traffic pattern to the quickest way to make that happen. Which to me would be come up straight from Cherry and come that route if you're having a hard time getting off of Caldwell. But that's my opinion.
Is that the route the buses take, if they go around?
We are not gonna bring the buses to the front of the high school.
Okay.
Yeah. The buses will be completely out of there. We have two options that we're kind of researching at this. Right now, we're bringing them in between the football field and the high school. That's where we
Oh,
drop them off
okay.
now, in that back parking lot.
Nice protected spot to do it.
It's a good spot. It's a little rough on the buses sometimes because the pitch of 13th Street coming into it, depending on,
Curb cut's not so friendly.
yeah. So, we've had some discussion about creating a bus drop-off zone on the north side, but we'll continue to evaluate that, but it won't be part of the one-way or the front of the high school, yeah. If the city deemed that they felt with the one-way that we needed to do a formal traffic study, I guess that's something the city, we can have discussions with. I don't think it impacts the building. The one-way street doesn't really impact the building piece of what's before you tonight, probably.
If I remember right, I think the north side at one time was one-way, went west to east. That's like 50 years ago,
Yeah,
back when I was in high school.
Careful, Dennis, you're gonna tell us how old you are.
I'm not ashamed. 50 years ago, I graduated from here. Yeah, but if, I kind of remember it being a one-way on the north side, went from west to east.
This issue of traffic flow and drop-off things at the high school has been a discussion we've been having for a long time, actually.
Yeah. Well, back then, there wasn't any other parking other than on the street. Cause where you had that parking lot on the north side was used to be a greenhouse.
Yes, I know, I've actually seen pictures of that, yeah.
And then the only parking you had was along the sides of the streets there.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they made it as a one-way in order to.
I've seen old pictures of when, you know, back when the high school, some of you were here, when we had 130 kids per class in the late 70s, 80s.
Yeah, I think.
Talk about, is there enough stalls? Every one of those stalls, all the way down to where the mask would currently sit, would be full. And then the side streets for blocks to the north and south were packed. We just don't have as many kids now.
Yeah, I think my graduating class had 167.
Wow. Yeah.
We're not close to that right now. So.
I was in 72.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what other questions?
I guess, how soon do you guys plan on starting if?
Well, this is kind of the last hurdle, one of the big last hurdles. So we need to know that this goes through so we can finalize it, and get bids out, and they're talking about the 1st of May.
Are you thinking like a year, 2-year project or something?
Actually, we'll be done by the end of December if everything goes well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Pre-engineered metal building,
Yeah.
can go up pretty fast once it goes out and they lock down the design of it. So we'll be using, actually, you talked about the north parking lot this summer. It'll be used as the staging area. You'll see a lot of the supplies and everything come in there, and big metal beams probably carried to the job site from there, etc. But it should go up pretty quick once we get bids out, approve bids, lock it down, so.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, so we've got a couple, two variances, so we'll go through them individually, so we don't get confused. Just like we did on the first one, we need to get agreement on these pieces, so I'll just kind of walk through them and we'll agree or not. So uniqueness, as Zach said, it's for educational purposes and not residential, so that makes it unique in this area. Agreed?
It is a use by right though, and
It is a use by right. I meant in regards for a setbacks and lot coverage. Because you have different types of buildings for educational purposes than you do for a residential dwelling. You're gonna have more lot coverage when you talk about like a school building than you would just somebody building a house. Unless we go back to when was our schoolhouse? 1908?
Isn't that lot coverage typically 50%? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, 50%.
So the original design, I think, was
70.
75.
77.
77.
Yep.
And we're talking about lot coverage with this first set, correct? Is that what you
Yes.
said, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, before I move on, are we in agreement there?
Yeah.
Okay, adjacent property, variance will not affect the property rights or adjacent property owners or residents. It did look like there was one comment from, a neighbor about wanting her driveway. And that was, the comment I saw in here was that was between her and the school. So,
There's nothing we can do on that.
okay,
That would be civil.
okay. All right, so agreement there doesn't affect the other property rights?
Yeah.
Okay, hardship, without this variance, it would require a redesign, to something smaller, and then I think it probably gets away from the intent of what the school's trying to do with the education building there, so agreement that a redesign would create hardship.
Yes, I agree.
Public interest, the requested variance will not adversely affect public health and safety. Agreement there?
Agree.
Spirit and intent, requested variance will not be opposed to the general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations. Agree? And then minimum variance, this is the minimum variance, and I appreciate they come back with a pretty sizable reduction in lot coverage there, so agree on the minimum variance. Okay, so on the first one, I move that we approve variance number 1 to increase the allowable lot coverage from 50% to 63%.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, that one carries. Now let's go back up to front yard setback. So uniqueness, kind of same one as the last one. For educational purposes, makes this a little different than a residential dwelling, so that creates a uniqueness. Agree? Adjacent properties, does not affect the neighboring property rights or adjacent property owners. They're at 15 from the property line and 35 from the back of the curb, and you can see in the map that we're, even though we're closer to the curb than what the code requires, we're really not out of the sight lines of the neighborhood, so.
Matt, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
regarding that? The blue line is the, where the 8 foot is at. That's the proposed, or the variance requested at.
Mhm.
The building footprint doesn't reach the blue line.
It's behind that, from what I can see in the picture, right?
Right,
That's
there's
what
actually
makes
more
that
room
line
than
up.
8 foot.
Yeah, so even though the request is for 8, the building is further back than 8, they're not going out to the 8.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that with
Yes.
Bill.
The plan is to not go to the 8 foot all the way up.
Just if you look at the deal, the only thing touching that 8-foot deal will be
The front entrance.
kind of that front entrance part,
Well, that's an entry element, that'd be excluded, right?
where we kind of try to match it up with what looks at the high school, this kind of
Yeah.
walk thing, the actual building doesn't even set
Yeah,
that.
so you're
Would
right.
not even
Yeah,
set
the
on
entry
that
piece
blue
would be
line.
excluded, because it's
So
not.
really,
Yeah.
it's that part that just sets there. You know, in front of the high
So
school,
actually,
it's like-
the brick, the red brick is further back.
It's still further back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
just
what,
that, literally that.
should be that 15-foot mark to match the other houses.
And that, from the drawing, that's pretty dang close.
Yeah, as long as it sticks with that, you know, the established setback with the existing properties on the.
If the majority of the buildings, what I was trying to get, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're all about somewhere between 15 feet from the street edge.
If it's over a bit, but it's still more than the 8, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so agreement on adjacent property?
Yes.
Okay, hardship, same as the last one, would force a redesign, so would create hardship, agree? Agree. Public interest does not adversely affect public health and safety, agree? Just that traffic pattern thing that was called out right there, but, that will get addressed in a separate discussion with the city commission on the one line. And then spirit and intent, is not opposed to general spirit and intent of the zoning regulations, agree? And then minimum variance, appears, that's not the minimum variance, but because of what we just talked about, with the sight lines, it all kind of fits in what's already there. Agree?
As long as that building's within that 15-foot, the entry piece can be.
Yeah, the entry piece can be out there.
Yeah.
Just like the porches on the other houses.
Yep. Right. Absolutely. There's one thing, is there any concern about fire truck access as we encroach? That's actually probably more on the lot coverage, to be honest, but we've already passed that.
I think there's enough room as far as fire is concerned for the 3 sides of the building, both from the alley and I actually don't know where the fire hydrants are in relation to this building. But
Flame spread too.
One over by the auditorium, I think.
it's really just that garage on the north.
There is one on the corner by
There sits on the northwest corner of the school's property.
Right, by that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
The building will be sprinkled, by the way.
Is there ample water supply for that?
I think there
At
is.
the end of the day, there has to be.
Those lines aren't, there wasn't a concern in the, when they had us mapping of the small lines that need to be changed out, like we just changed out on Walnut, between 16th and 13th. We upped it from a 2-inch, I was surprised, it was only a 2-inch line, to a 6-inch line. But they're, on Cherry, it's already at that size, or larger. I mean, some of them are larger, but.
So that one's a 6-inch, this one here is also a 6-inch, I believe.
That's your fire hydrant, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you got 2 6-inch ones,
so there's enough.
and they're both sitting around that same gallon per minute.
And I think the line on 12, I mean, the south side on 13th is larger, so.
Okay, so moving forward with the motions, I would entertain a motion for variance number 2.
I second.
I need a motion first.
I thought you just did.
Are you doing the variance one on the square foot?
So we got your, we already approved the lot coverage one,
Okay.
so now we're looking at the front yard setbacks.
I might need to ask you if you could amend that one.
Okay,
Can you go back to the drawing? Nick just texted me. It won't impact anything, but it will impact the percentage. The latest drawing has this enclosed and squared off, which increases it to 65.5 if we do the math. So it doesn't affect any of the, what we're asking for, but it does on the
The lot coverage.
lot coverage. So Nick was asking if the motion could actually read up to or not to exceed 68. It'll probably be 65.5 actual, but if you guys could pass the motion from 63 not to exceed 68. Something like that.
Does that affect their site triangle there?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Mm,
Like even that picture, I think it was the rendering, if you pull up the rendering, I think that the rendering had that.
No,
No, it
it's
doesn't.
got a notch.
I don't believe it would impact the site triangle. If Josh goes back to that last picture,
Which one?
the one you
The
were
one
on
that's just-
there.
This one?
Yeah, so the site triangle would probably be in between that little dot he has his mouse on right now, and then the grass itself.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite a ways back from that.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot of discussion about site triangle, but it's really, when we've had an issue before up at Eighth and Arcade, it really doesn't go as far as expected.
yeah.
When we were dealing with trees at that intersection. And it became much more problematic actually for us trying to address it than for any buildings.
Okay, Kent, I need a little guidance on,
And
you just
We're
want
gonna
to
try
sec,
to increase the square footage. We should definitely make sure that we're not at that 8 foot mark and that we're back at that 15.
So I don't
With
think
the
it's
side-
gonna change the distance of the building for the front. What he's saying is they're just gonna extend it out to the south to where it would be a
gonna
solid
square
square
off
instead
the
of having that little cutout
It's
into
the
it.
lot coverage percent that
Right,
would
we're-
Yeah.
up in a little
He
bit.
wants us to reword the approval to give him more square footage. Well, I think we should reword the setback to make sure that it's 15 feet, not 8 foot, so we're not building all the way up to that 8 foot mark. If there's another redesign, we've approved up to 8 feet, then they can slam it all the way to 8 feet.
Right, and a separate variant. That's for the second variance.
so the motion on yours, Curtis, right now says established building line to 10 to 12 feet.
Yeah, whatever the established building line, that's how the code reads, which is estimated somewhere between 15 and 12 feet. I mean, we're just using aerial views, GIS, right?
Yeah.
Nobody went out there with a tape measure.
No, well, and we didn't use the survey marks to know exactly the property line, no. And the entrance or the portico, is it definitely excluded from,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I just wanted confirmation of that.
Yes, it is. Awnings, canopies, decks. There's a list of things that I can't think of right now. They're allowed to protrude over that line.
Over the setback, as long as they're not enclosed.
What is the distance from that blue line to the majority of the building? It doesn't say, or,
There's not an accurate measurement on there, but just guessing roughly, it would be maybe 12 feet away from the property line instead of the 8. Just a rough estimate.
The red line represents 20 feet, you can see that,
Mhm.
20-foot
Yeah.
setback. The blue line represents an 8-foot setback. So if you split the difference on that 12 feet, it'd be 6 feet. It looks like it's halfway between, but that's just addition.
Yeah, it's just a bit.
right.
And my concern is if we grant the variance at the 8 foot that it's worded, then, you know, if we get a redesign and the building is suddenly 8 feet from the property line, a lot different than what we're seeing here now.
Do we want to switch to the lot coverage?
Yeah, let's
first?
tackle,
And since there was a request to amend, I don't want to wait another month.
Yeah.
I mean, it
No,
really should
right.
be.
we need to move on.
Right.
But, and it's simple enough as far as it's not, and I'm saying this for any future request, it's not a huge change, it's just the little area that's there on the southeast corner of the building.
Yeah.
Will it match exactly the front of the building then?
It's just squared off.
It's just squared off. Makes it more square building then, basically. And the lot coverage, what was the percentage that he,
Up to
65.5, but he said it'd be nice if they could just say. So if it exceeded it by a little bit, if you wanna make it 66, you can make it 66.
66 or 67%?
Just a little wiggle room in
Wiggle
there.
room, yeah.
No, do not bring,
Don't be doing it.
he hears it 100 times a day.
I do too,
Sure.
I got one.
67 would be great.
Kids are gonna love it.
Yep, they're gonna clip that.
So do we need a whole new motion? Do we need to?
Yes.
Okay.
And, and we've gone through the things, that's not the question, it's the motion itself.
Yeah.
I'd like to amend the previous approval on variance number 1 to
Right.
the maximum, up to the 67% lot
Not to
coverage.
exceed.
Okay, so I move that we amend the previous approval for variance number 1 to, increase the allowable lot coverage from 50% up to 67, up to and to not exceed 67%.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay.
Okay, now you can take
Yeah,
number
now
2.
Now the number 2. So,
To me, I have a question regarding the 8-foot as well. I mean, staff, we discussed it as well, when it doesn't show it. But I think, I think it's pretty safe to say that a 12-foot setback would still fit the contours regarding it. Is there any concern regarding that? Is that there any concern on
And
your
if your
part?
entrance goes beyond that, that's fine. Yeah.
so we would want to potentially approve the setback at 12 feet.
The variance, and it's still a variance, and it's still a healthy variance, reducing it from 20 feet to 12 feet. Or you could have 10 feet, you know, whatever's most comfortable for the planning commission.
All right, so let's start with a motion, we'll go from there. I move that we approve variance number 2 to reduce the front yard setback from 20 feet or the established building line to 12 feet. Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Wally. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? All right. There you go, Mr. Bierman. So your lot coverage should be good. We'll be at 12 feet on setback, which looks like pretty close to the drawing. So hopefully that'll work out. Okay, we are moving on to the next discussion item on amending the fence regulations to increase the setback from the backside of the curb and the maximum allowed height.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
Zach, is that you or Kent? Who's leading this discussion? You're looking at each other like, not me, don't look at me.
The proposed ordinance put in front of you guys is for a reduction, or actually an increase from what is currently allowed. We had talked about this earlier in a variance hearing. Currently what is allowed is 4 foot from the backside of the curb if you're talking about the side yard of the property. That gets to be pretty close when we're on Caldwell and certain situations like that. We've dealt with that in the past on a couple properties. What's in front of you is to bring that to 6 feet away from the backside of the curb. This would also allow the future possibility of putting in an ADA sidewalk, which is a requirement of 5 feet. That would allow a foot of buffer room for any construction crew or whoever would be installing that sidewalk to put that in without disturbing the fence also.
Was there anything else we changed in that list on the ordinance?
I can't. It's been a few
It's
months.
been a few weeks, yeah.
Exactly about height.
The maximum allowable height is in there. There's a couple sections of the code that refer to it as being 6 foot, but then there's more than a couple sections of code saying that it's 7 foot.
I think one of the things we talked about was, what's the base? Is it the ground or is it?
Ground elevation.
The ground, okay.
Yep. So even if you pour a 6-8 inch concrete footer, the top of your picket still wouldn't be allowed to go over
Okay.
the 7 foot.
Yep. So that footer counts in your 7.
Yes. Which kind of work out because a lot of pickets are.
Five.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to cut your pickets, you could still stay below 7.
Yep.
Other than that, those are the only 2 changes, right? Move it from 4 foot to 6 foot and align the 7 foot across the code.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or discussion further on that?
If someone feels a need for a fence higher than 7 feet, they can always apply for a variance.
Right.
True.
Right.
Governmental buildings, places like Walmart, or places that would store stuff outside, they are allowed to go over that 7 foot with barbed wire. Their lowest strand of barbed wire cannot be below 7 feet, though, to protect people from just walking by and grabbing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the materials that we're allowed to use for fencing. I don't see anything with metal unless I'm missing that.
Square tubing or metal tubing? Chain link? whatever we're
Square
allowed.
tubing or metal tubing. Because a lot of people use the, like, for roofs, metal roofing for fencing. Is that something we think we need to add, or does that fall under construction material?
I view construction material as like pallets.
Okay, okay.
So a solid 10 fence, is that what you're getting
Yeah,
at?
yeah, I mean, I seen, and they look nice, I mean, I didn't know.
There's a couple in town, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to add that or not, or, you know, since we're doing the fence
And the
thing.
transparency requirement is only on the front yard, right?
Correct. And that would change the height of what is allowed in the front yard. 40 inches if it's 40 inches tall if it's 50% or more transparent, or 30 inches if it is solid. So if you wanted a miniature privacy fence in your front yard.
You want a hurdle.
You know, currently it states 4 feet, so it's basically reducing the 4 feet to 40 inches. So from 48 to 40 inches. The 30 inches is in the current code. So. And I think that was the one other change we had. I was trying to remember what the other change, but I think that 48 to 40
On the front, yes.
in the front.
Just to align with
Yeah.
other mentions in the code.
Yeah.
And schools are the other exception for that fence requirement, right? Playgrounds and whatnot be taller.
Central would be a good example of that.
So from us, you need a motion to recommend, is that? Or do we just need to,
I needed them to recommend this because it's in the zoning. The other stuff is just in municipal code.
Right, but do we need to set a public hearing? Yes,
Yes.
so actually request to set a public hearing.
okay, what's
Or
our
is
next,
that direct staff to,
what's the next meeting date, April?
14th.
All right, so I move that we set a public hearing for ordinance number 1817 on April 14th at the next planning commission meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Matt, seconded by Grady. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay. Okay, moving on. Reports. Grady.
Nothing to report.
Dennis?
No, I have nothing.
Curtis?
I have noticed some of those RVs around that seem to be occupied. I don't know what our status is on alerting people about that.
April 1st.
Gotta be gone.
as far as if they're being used for rentals. And
Everyone that I've had complaints about or noticed myself has received a letter.
I saw some stickers on one of them.
If they are parked on the street, that is not my coverage. That becomes the police department at that point because it's on public property, not private property.
Okay, very good, thank you. Wally, anything to report?
No.
All I would add, or I wanted to at least get you guys aware, so, working through SCCD and then also through the foundation with Tina, there's this thing out there, I shouldn't say thing, it's an effort, maybe, called Community Heart and Soul. And what it is, think about it, kind of our strategic doing that we've done in the past, where the community comes together and we talk about what we need and what we want to try to do. So strategic doing kind of launched the childcare thing. We've had other projects that have come out of that, a leadership training thing we're kind of working on. Community Heart and Soul is a bigger, more organized thing nationally. And I think the foundation is probably going to pursue this a little bit. You could also think of it as sort of a way to seed discussion around a comprehensive plan, which this commission started talking about when I first came on, Grady and I first came on 4 years ago. Our comprehensive plan is old. And part of a new comprehensive plan would be a community-wide discussion around what do we need in our community, what do we care about, what do we love, what do we want to change. So I'm just telling you guys because of awareness that I think between SCCD, SCCF, and then probably us as a planning commission too, we could get involved in the discussion that there's kind of a little groundswell starting around, let's get our community members excited about Goodland and talking about what we can do to love our community more. So look for more to come out of that, but Tina's kind of pursuing this Community Heart and Soul, and you can look it up. They actually have seed grant money to put these big community-wide meetings together and get ideas going, and so more to come, I think, but I think we're gonna try to drive that a little bit, and maybe for us as a planning commission, it leads into a more comprehensive plan discussion.
okay, we reviewed the comprehensive plan, or started to talk about it, and basically an update, and went through all the chapters. But it was just a discussion, it was not
Yeah,
any formal approval on it. And the comprehensive plan was approved in 2001. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
few
what I
years ago.
Just a couple, 2 or 3.
yeah,
But we also had that joint, little bit of a planning effort when we had Barb with Community Matters come and talk to, just regarding housing, basically. And some other things with the code, try to amend the code with interviews she had done with both the Planning Commission and the City Commission. And that provided a good basis. A comprehensive plan would be more of an effort, and it's enough an effort that would be a big test. You would need some definite public input, and that would be good to have. An organized input,
Yeah.
public input.
That's kind of what this is. It's a way to really get organization around your public input and do it with format and structure so that it sticks and it means something. So more to come, but I think it's a good thing. I'm excited team's pursuing it. We'll learn more as she gets deeper, so.
So what you're saying as that moves forward, we'll probably work on a comprehensive plan.
I
Get the
think
community
we
involved
as a
with it.
planning commission should pay attention to what's going on there, and hopefully everyone here wants to be involved in some of that discussion, but we should watch what comes out of that, because it might be useful as a starting point to go back to talking about our comprehensive plan again, because we have been busy with a lot of other things in the last couple of years that have taken us away from that discussion. And
Use it as a springboard.
yeah, so maybe it's a way to get back to that discussion a little bit in the future. So.
That's good. I was noticing how old our comprehensive plan was when I was reading through this. My big
It's
fat
getting
binder.
a little late.
Oh my goodness, this
Yeah.
is really old.
Yep. Okay, that's all I have. Kent, anything to report?
One thing, well, you prompt something else for me. The
Okay.
Topside Trail, started as far as what should they get behind. And one thing, as far as extending the Topside Trail. And it brought up, had discussion in other areas about possibly working on a pedestrian plan of some type. But the goal that they identified and wanted to go forward was to, or start talking with KDOT if there's any possibility for a transportation alternative type thing, to get a trail down, or connecting trail down Highway 24 to the commercial area. And how that would work. I mean, it's very preliminary, it's not anything, but that might have something as well for us to be conscious of, or have a presentation done here as well, if there's any request to do something along those lines. And that was from the Topside Trail Committee, not from.
Yeah. Okay.
So, since you're talking about that, does the city help fund that project, the Topside Trail? Like
We maintain it at this point. The lighting project was a grant from Division of Wildlife and Parks, or Land Conservation, one of the two. Forget which one it was from. But, and they're almost done installing that lighting project now.
Yeah, that's
Steve.
good.
But, the original grant, I think there was some participation from the city, but I can't tell you the percentages or anything like that.
Zach?
Nothing to
Nothing.
report.
Okay. Minutes from January 13th. Anybody have any corrections, additions, changes from that?
Let's see.
Long time.
Okay, I move that we approve the January 13th, 2026 minutes as submitted.
Second.
Okay, moved by Matt, second by Curtis. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anybody want to go home?
Yeah.
I'll move we adjourn.
Well, then,
I second.
All in favor?
move to adjourn.
Thank you.